Good evening and welcome to the 4th week of Marlea and Friends. We are so excited to be here with you
Don't you mean Marea and Friends?
You are correct. We actually had this discussion with Marlea in our first interview when we were discussing this collaboration, and she pointed out that every time that she goes on social media and she sees our name, she thinks that she's seeing her own, because Marlea and Marea are the same minus the L in the middle.
And we know Marlea because we were at school with her at the Yale School of Music, and now she is down in Miami, Florida with the New World Symphony. So here is a little bit about Marlea. She is originally from Dallas, and she's a second-year viola fellow at the New World Symphony, hailed by the Chicago Tribune as Grant Park Orchestra's new 21-year-old wonderkind in 2016. She currently holds the principal viola position with the Chicago Sinfonietta, in addition to a second position with the Grant Park Orchestra after completing their Project Inclusion program in 2014. As an orchestral musician, Miss Simpson has worked under prestigious conductors such as Leonard Slatkin and Marin Alsop. She has also worked with many renowned chamber musicians, including Stephen Tenenbaum, Mary Peckham, and David Bolin, as well as the Brentano, Jasper, Jupiter, and Calder quartets. Miss Simpson received her master's degree from the Yale School of Music, where she studied with Ettore Causa and Stephen Tenenbaum. She received the Georgina Lucy Grosvenor Memorial Prize, which is awarded to the violist in the graduating class whose performances while at Yale have exhibited the highest potential for success as a solo or chamber musician in the field. She also holds a bachelor's degree from Oberlin Conservatory, where she studied with Peter Slavik. Outside of music, Miss Simpson enjoys fashion, karaoke, laughing as much as possible, and spending time with her family, especially her husband Ian and her cat Audrey Catburn.
We are so excited to share this episode with you tonight and the collaborations that we have for you. So please enjoy week 4.
And one last thing, we have the option of purchasing a $5 virtual ticket to tonight's performance. These episodes have taken a lot of time and effort, and we really try to produce the best content for our audiences to enjoy. So it really means a lot to us and to the artists. If you would consider donating, it would mean a lot to everyone involved. So without further ado, let's get started.
Yeah. So the theme of this week is mental health and motivation. And I don't know about you, but I have been certainly feeling that those are two topics that are extremely important to be discussing right now. And it's just, we thought that this was going to be over by the summer. We thought this was going to be over by the fall. We thought this was going to be over we don't know when it's going to be over. So I think this is really important to be discussing. And in our interview with Marley, we really tried to create a space where both Amelia and I and Marley could be extremely vulnerable and discuss topics that don't really get discussed on Zoom. I feel like for me, majority of the time, I feel like I'm kind of sitting silently behind a screen, and I feel like it's really important to create these genuine and authentic spaces, especially when we're going through an extremely difficult time in our country, and there are just so many layers to process at all times, especially when your life does not go as planned, your day does not go as planned, and when you're really trying to process what's going on in your community and the world.
We really hope that some of these themes that we talked about in the interview resonate with you and maybe give you a little inspiration and motivation during this really difficult time.
We can all be kinder to ourselves right now. We are so excited to have Marlea Simpson here for the 4th week of Marea and Friends, and we have a really exciting show in store for you tonight. So we're going to start off the interview a little bit talking about how Marley started playing the viola and just what was your musical journey like up until now.
Awesome. So nice to be here with you guys. This is so fun.
Yes.
With you guys in person.
Yes.
So viola, I started playing when I was 12, but I first started on violin when I was 6. So it was one of those things where, my orchestra director was like, hey, we noticed that you're like kind of tall and we probably need more violas. She didn't say that to me, but she's like, have you ever considered playing viola? And of course I hadn't, because I was 12 and didn't really know what I wanted to be doing. But I secretly always wanted to play the cello. And I never told my parents. At that point, I had played violin for 6 years. So I was like, oh, I'll give the viola a try, and immediately fell in love with it. I was like, this is the closest I'm going to get to the cello. So that was kind of how I started playing the viola. Then went through high school and decided to make a career out of it. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do this as a career, like for a job. This is amazing. So started off my studies at Oberlin. I was studying with Peter Slowick, had a lot of great times there, and transitioned to go to grad school with you guys.
Yeah.
So I at Yale. That was so fun. And I'm actually starting my 2nd season at New World right now. So that's kind of where I'm at and how I got there.
So can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, your experience with New World and kind of what you want to do afterwards, or if you know, I don't really know what I'm doing tomorrow. So
I know, right? I have ideas, but yes, I'm right there with you. It's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. So I was coming to the end of, 2nd year of master's, and just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Am I going to go back and do more school? Am I going to, I don't know. I thought I was going to be in Chicago and, gigging and just kind of making it work until I figured out what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I, applied to New World and then ended up here, and I'm really glad I did. I've gotten a lot of really, really cool opportunities since being here. New World, I think, does such a really great job of preparing people who want to enter the orchestral field, preparing us for that like really weird process. It's kind of like, I kind of feel like I'm in limbo right now. It's like I left school, but I'm like, I don't have a job, but like I'm in a program. It's been feeling really weird, but also really grateful to be here.
Yeah.
We get to do a lot of really cool things that have been really helpful for me, learning how to take auditions and like growing in that way. Because I feel like taking auditions is like, it's like a totally different thing. It's like everything that I learned in school and like my voice as a musician, and then it's just like audition. It's like, whoa, this doesn't seem normal. But it's been really great.
Could you talk a little bit about kind of, or like if you have any advice for people who are kind of in this limbo stage. Obviously, New World is an amazing place to be, but people that are like kind of in their 20s, you
Hmm.
know, looking for jobs, looking for ways to make music a reality in their life, or
Yeah.
making their dream of any profession a reality in their life. I mean, it's difficult, and how you deal with the limbo of that.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm really grateful to like have a program to kind of keep me feeling structured
Yeah.
because I'm the type of person that I kind of need um, these like outside structures because I need that help. Some people are, just that's just their personality, which is awesome. But that's been really helpful. I think, yeah, it's a really interesting experience because it's like I feel like an adult, but not quite yet. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And so for people who are like might be watching this and don't know exactly like what New World Symphony is about. So
yeah.
it's like how many years are you in the program typically or
Right. So it's you can be here for 3 years, and sometimes a lot of the fellows end up applying for a fourth year, um, and sometimes depending on like the amount of spots, you
hmm.
can get a fourth year. But it's really great because they kind of structure it for you like we're like a full-time symphony. We get the experience of playing full-time in orchestra, which is awesome because when you're in school, it's like you're balancing like 20 different things, and it's like, what is it actually like to be in a symphony? So it's really great actually for people who are like, do I like yeah, like I like when I'm playing an orchestra in school, and I like all the experiences I've had playing an orchestra, but this is like, okay, now you're doing it 24/7. Like, do you still
Yeah.
Yeah.
thankfully I do, so that's good. But yeah, but they also, there's that part of it where it's like we feel like we're a full-time professional orchestra, but then they bring in like coaches, and um, they come in and they'll watch our rehearsals and give us tips, and then they'll give us like individual lessons and like sectionals and excerpt classes. And so it's really great because I feel like I was in school, and when you're in school and it's like everyone kind of has different things that they want to do,
Hmm.
like I think half of my studio wanted to do something totally different than what I did, which is super awesome. That's why being in school is so incredible.
Yeah.
This was the first time that I got here, and I was like, everyone wants to do the same thing. Like, that's
Yeah.
like super intimidating, but also like super inspiring. It's like I'm just surrounded by excerpts 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's been a really unique experience because um, it's like things that I would be trying to like get for myself. If I decided to go to Chicago, I would probably be trying to get like some orchestra experience, finding people to reach out for lessons. So I guess that's something that a big advice that I have for people is just like reach out to people for advice and play for as many people as you can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially in that limbo stage.
Yeah.
Kind of like create your own structure. But
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing here. It's been great. So
Yeah, absolutely. The theme.
This next piece we are going to play is actually a recording that we made this summer of John Steinmetz' Songs and Dances for oboe and bassoon. And this is the first movement. It's a 4-movement work, and Steinmetz wrote this in 2013 for oboist Martin Schuring and bassoonist Albi Miklik. They are the oboe and bassoon professors at Arizona State University.
And we chose this particular movement to program on this concert because of the theme of mental health and motivation. And in this movement, you will hear the juxtaposition of running 16th notes at 1,000,000 miles an hour to very slow, somber, and simplistic melodies. And these are very much so laid out in the piece in blocks. There's no in between. And we really feel that this kind of represents how we process things every day and how we go throughout our lives in the pandemic. Sometimes you're rushing and ready to go and 1,000,000 things are flying and you are ready for whatever the day will bring. And then some days it's very simplistic and you are just checking one thing off the list. And so with that in mind, we really hope that you enjoy this recording of Steinmetz' Song and Dances. the theme of today's episode is mental health and motivation for everyone, not just only musicians, but how do you stay sane during the pandemic? And how do you keep yourself, you know, motivated throughout this? And I know that you were talking about how the structure and everything is really helpful, but it's, I feel like it's so much more than that. It's
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, it was interesting. I feel like it's been like a roller coaster, probably for
yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
Like the pandemic first hit and it was like not really knowing what was happening, I guess, and like what that meant. And,
Mm-hmm.
Before the realization of like, oh my gosh, like, there are people who are getting sick and like dying, like, that realization before like that settled in, it was kind of like oh, like this, where this is usually like the busiest time of the year. And so I guess it's a relief to have like a week's break, when I thought it was a week. And then it was like, oh, all of my auditions were canceled.
yeah,
Which I'm sure, everyone here, and I'm sure you guys and literally everyone, every musician on the planet had lots of stuff that they had lined up that got canceled. So that was like a crap, it's like, oh, maybe they'll reschedule in the fall, or you kind of like ramp yourself up for stuff like that. And you've been preparing for a really long time. So that was a really just big disappointment. And then, let's see, what was that, like end of March, beginning of April. And then it's like, then there's a civil rights movement going on and a pandemic. And it's like, wow, my mental health is really not great right now. Like I've never experienced anxiety like this. Like that's just, oh, is that what that is? That's horrible.
yeah,
So yeah, that was kind of like a, but I think for me, what really has been helping me, not necessarily like everyone has their ups and downs because it's a literal pandemic, right? That's like so normal to like not feel okay. But what's helped me, I feel like, was the end of April, I decided with my mom and grandma that we were going to FaceTime each other every day and do a little workout. And so that started in April and was like, oh, this is like kind of cute. I get to see my mom and grandma every day. Like, why don't I call them every day anyway?
Yeah.
And we're still doing it. And it's been so fun because I get to like keep in touch with people and like loved ones and, make sure they're okay. But then also like, I think taking care of my body and my physical health was really important because it kind of got me outside of my head and I was able to do something that I could control. It was like, I can control what's going on right now. It's a privilege to be able to take care of your physical health during a pandemic because a lot of people don't have that privilege to be able to do that. So that's actually another thing that's been really helpful is even though, a lot of people are suffering financially, emotionally, mentally, everything, finding little ways to be grateful every day was really helpful for me. Like, oh, I'm grateful that I have a place to live and that I can go outside and take a walk and take care of my body. And I still have like really healthy food that I can eat and feed myself. So just like having those like little things has been really helpful for me. It's like when I look outside, I'm like, the world is on fire, literally on fire.
Yeah, on fire.
It's like, wow, could anything else go wrong? It's like just finding little ways to like bring myself back and not go down.
I realized really early on that if I like it will be like 5 o'clock and I'll realize that I haven't gone outside all day. And then it's almost like at that point in the day, I like lose motivation to even go outside. But then if I actually force myself to literally just walk out the door and like walk down the street, it's like I'm like a new being.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you so amazing about fresh air. I'm like, I really was taking it for granted before because, I was like, man, I don't move that much during this time because, I have a little small apartment. So I'm just, sitting on my couch and I'm like, oh, I forgot that like normally, like even if I didn't feel like I did that much movement that day, like I had to walk places or like, so
Yeah.
reminding myself like, let's go outside today. It really changes things.
Yeah. For sure.
One thing that also kind of struck me in that answer was like talking about like realizing that you don't want to do something. I guess for everybody, I feel like we as musicians that have been constantly trained to go, 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 and like even like be like, oh, maybe I should be practicing this excerpt for when we can be doing auditions, or maybe I should be doing this for when we can do this, or maybe I should, oh, boom, boom, boom. Like it just keeps piling up. And sometimes maybe like the thing that you don't want to do may actually be your instrument. And it's like, how do you deal with that during this time when we kind of have this kind of constant pressure to be playing? And obviously we all love what we do. We wouldn't be here if we didn't love it. But how do you deal with that?
So this is interesting. I feel like if, you ask like different musicians, you'll get different answers. But for me, I feel like I was so, I was in such a place that it was just like, music wasn't bringing me any joy at the beginning of this. Yeah. I was like, with everything being canceled, it was like, wow, it was like, oh my gosh, like all of a sudden we can't do what we love to do most, and realizing that we won't be able to do it for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then it was, this civil rights movement starting up, and it's, seeing the reactions of, these dream ensembles that I was planning on, still are big dreams of mine to audition for and play with, seeing their reactions and being really discouraged by their reactions. And so it was all of this like combined. It was like, this isn't bringing me any joy, and this is bringing me a lot of stress. And of course, then, I'm seeing like a lot of people still like playing because, social media is, everyone's still playing. And I was like, I remember like a month ago, I was sitting on the couch and I looked at my husband, Ian. I was like, I don't know if I should think of something else to do like with my life, or if I should like change careers. Cause like, I feel like I see all of my colleagues and friends still like doing things with their music, like in a really cool way. And I was like, and I feel like, I don't want to, and I feel like that's bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, maybe I don't love it as much as I thought I did. I was like, that's really weird, because I thought I really loved it, but I really don't want to play. And so he looked at me and he was like, let's not make major life decisions maybe like during a pandemic, but if you decide that afterwards, then I support you 100%. Thankfully he said that, because then the next week I picked up my viola and I was like, I love music. Like I was like playing this like, oh, how beautiful, it's like,
yeah. I
was like so worried. I was like, I've never had this conversation with myself. But, I've talked to some other people, and, some people are having the same reaction. Some people are finding a lot of inspiration during this time, which is amazing. But I think it's important to remember, like if you need to give yourself a break because of how, like devastating everything is, I think that's okay. And I did. I gave myself a nice little break. And now I'm back to it. New World has started some stuff online, and now I have projects and things to be doing. And I'm like, oh, okay, like we're getting back to normal. It's not normal because it would be great to play with people in person, obviously. But I was like, I think that was a much needed break, and just focusing on my mental health. So if other people are experiencing that, I was too. Maybe we're the only ones, but I don't think so. I think everyone was struggling.
I could speak for myself, I guess, but we totally were like, I was like down in the dumps, and then we kind of found like we decided to create this little series, and it's honestly been like a lifesaver, because it's like, it's something that where we can talk to people again, and we can remember like what it was like to be with people, and talk about like the good times. And just also, it's just something for us to kind of like have in our lives every day. So,
and it's great because then you're giving other musicians an opportunity, like me, and like, oh, I have something to like record for. Like, I got to put makeup on today. I literally makeup brings me so much joy, you guys. Like that is my like meditation time in the morning. Like when I'm getting ready, it's like, this is just time for me. I'm gonna give myself some time. And it's just like relaxing for me. I don't know, just like the process of it. It's just so relaxing. I don't know.
Yeah, and just like I've been thinking a lot, like also when you're talking kind of like about kind of the stages of all of this, I feel like, and like when you were talking about how you meeting with your mom and your grandmother to do workouts every day, and on like how that community of your family to go through this and how important that is. And I mean, I feel like, I mean, Amelia's kind of become like, we've kind of become family during this time.
Right.
And
You
to
guys,
just like, and to give support. I mean, I just feel like having the support, and then like especially through the civil rights movement that's going on right now too. I just, yeah, I really feel like having the family connection and people to talk to, it's really,
absolutely.
to talk
It
about
gives you
this.
look
Yeah.
forward to today. I think that's important too. Giving
Yeah.
yourself something to look forward to during a
Yeah.
time where we can't do
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
Well, you know, generally we can do a lot of things during this time, but you know, not normal.
Not normal.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and also, I mean, since we're like flowing on this like train,
Yeah.
We got
like,
healed today.
no, I mean, I feel like there's such a stigma around like people going to therapy. And
Yes.
especially
Yeah.
like musicians, and like I will be the first to admit, like I've been to therapy and it's like been so great.
Yeah.
And like just to talk to somebody. And I feel like everyone, like literally everyone, no matter like if you're just like having the best, like you have like no problems. I feel like going
Right.
to therapy and talking to someone, I mean, it can just make that great feeling even like better,
Yeah.
or vice versa, you know? So
Well,
it's like, yeah.
And I mean, I guess, so I feel like life, maybe if you go to, you know, an undergrad where or you go to like a place where you feel comfortable, where you feel like
Right.
you know a lot of people. And like for me, I feel like the transition from going from the University of Wisconsin to going to Yale and like, you know, getting out of a serious relationship and so many changing parts, I realized that like I couldn't necessarily sort everything out in my head by myself. And like,
Right.
I don't know, have you ever had a moment where you just realized that like you need to talk to someone during?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, during this time I mean, there are several moments, you know, through life where it's like, wow. And that's something that's been on my list. I think I'm so scared to, I'm a crier, and I just know as soon as I go into therapy, I'm just going to like cry, just sit on the couch and start crying. You know what I mean? Like I'm a crier. So I feel like I've been like stressed about crying that I haven't actually gone. But New World actually, I believe this year is offering like, you know, there's a lot of now online resources for having therapy online. And so I think they're actually providing that free to the fellows. So I'm really grateful for that because, you know, mental health, that's also mental health resources are things that, you know, it's a really big privilege because a lot of people don't have access to that.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for that. But it'll be my first time actually having like personal therapy. So I'm really, really excited about that because I really, really need it. I feel like people, you know, it's like we don't want to wait until we're dying to go to the doctor kind of thing. It's like, let's not wait until everything's falling apart to go to therapy. It's just like some maintenance and stuff. Like,
and I feel like it's just like to check in with yourself. Sometimes I don't even realize I was thinking the things that I'm saying.
Yes.
And I mean, it's like, I mean, it's not only about, and I'm actually sometimes surprised how much things about, you know, making my reads or like just like things about your playing that you didn't even realize that you like have been bothering you that come up. Like not even all about like just like life things or in your head things. Yeah.
Right. It's crazy. And I think, everyone needs to, you know, have a therapist because it's such a wonderful, beautiful thing if that's a possibility. But I think especially, you know, I feel like the classical music world, I think it's getting a little bit better. People are addressing mental health a little bit more. but it's a really tough field mentally. So I feel like we need to, be taking care of ourselves and our
Yeah, and
mental
it's
health.
so easy to kind of just hide away in your little practice room, and not really like address anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so easy as a musician.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
But
yeah, really excited to try that out. We'll have another session and I'll tell you
that's
how
awesome.
it's going.
Yeah. No, that's like really amazing
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really awesome that they're
that
doing
they're providing that opportunity.
that. Hmm.
that is really awesome, especially during this time. I mean, I think everyone should have access to mental health always, but especially during this time, it's really
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
I guess before the pandemic hit, when you do have like your normal orchestra schedule,
Right.
um, what are some things that you do for like self-care kind of things or ways to kind of keep yourself grounded in life,
Yeah.
while you're
Right.
also performing and playing with all these high-level musicians all the time?
Oh man, that is a really good question because it's something that is like Marley's like number one project this year. Because I feel like I'm a person who has like incredible FOMO. And I know when people say like, I have FOMO, it's like, oh, like I want to hang out with you. Ah. But it's like major anxiety. like if people are like hanging out and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I being left out? Do people forget about me? Should I hang out? I need to hang out. Um, and it's like,
No wonder you were the son. You were literally the son of the Yale School of Music.
I know.
Sorry, keep going, but I just needed to say it.
Like everyone's like,
Marley. I love Marley. Everybody knows Marley. I go to a music festival. Do you know Marley?
I
And-
that is so funny. That's that FOMO. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like if someone's like, oh, you want to hang out? I'm like, of course. And if you look at my schedule, it's like I had 20 things to do. And I'm like,
yeah.
that's really not good. So my project during this time, obviously, there's no one like, Marley, you want to hang out? Because, that's not safe. So now it's just like all this time to myself, which has also been like, yikes. But it's so good because I've been able to like, I think start setting boundaries for myself. Healthy boundaries where it's like, if I can't hang out today because I have something to do, there's always tomorrow. Or, I've actually scheduled that I need to have, an hour of time during my day for just myself, or like I have a workout that I need to go do because I know that I'm going to feel really good and I'm taking care of my my physical self and stuff like that. Whereas old Marley would just like drop it and like, oh, whatever, like I'll just do it tomorrow because there's a hang or whatever going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, starts to snowball a little bit into burnout. Like, why am I so tired? Or like, why am I not like having a good practice session? Or why is this rehearsal just so unbearable right now? Oh, I wonder why. It's because I have 20 things I need to do in the back of my head. I went to bed really late and, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So new Marley. And we're going to go into once, schedule gets back and going and is busy again. It's going to just like start setting, I think, more boundaries for myself. And I think I was thinking about this today. I think personal self-care can mean a lot of different things. And my go-to, which is still a very valid form of self-care, would be to like eat hot Cheetos and watch Gossip Girl or something.
Yeah.
That is so valid, and that is my favorite form of self-care.
Yes.
I think I need to remind myself, like, self-care doesn't have to be like a 3-hour project. Like, it could be 15 minutes, you know? Or self-care could even just mean like, I have, 5 things on my to-do list, and I'm just going to get them done for myself so that I know that I'm going to have peace of mind when I go to bed, get a good night's rest, and totally enjoy my day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or like, like stuff like that. So I think I'm trying to like redefine like self-care in my head a little bit, and set some boundaries so that I can get some me time during busy.
Yeah. And do you have any strategies kind of, because you were talking a little bit earlier about how you like have 20 things in your folder of your brain. And it's like,
Yeah.
sometimes you're sitting down in rehearsal or you're sitting down to start practicing and those things are still buzzing. What do you do to kind of like empty that and compartmentalize while you're in the act of practicing or doing things? Yeah.
Holy moly, that is such a good question.
That is something that it's really difficult to just sit down and be you and the music. And when you have those practice sessions, I feel like those are the best ones.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no distractions and there's no, exactly. I think, and this is just, and I think because I'm still working on it and I don't know. But I'm thinking that when I start setting, I think, more boundaries for myself and knowing that, you know, maybe I'm not going to say yes to 20 things, because I just know that that's not good for my mental health. And maybe I'll say yes to like 15 things or 10 things or something. Setting those boundaries, and then just knowing like I've set aside time for myself later today. My self-care is to get like this stuff done later today. So I know that I can just be fully present in what I'm doing right now. I'm really hoping this is something that I've not tried yet, because when I've started thinking about all this stuff for the first time, obviously I don't have a crazy busy orchestra rehearsal schedule right now, but I'm hoping that those techniques will help me a little bit more to just like be present, because I know that I've set aside time for myself later. I'm hoping, like I said, we'll have to do a recap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marea and Friends Part 2.
Like, did that work? Let me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would really help me out
Yeah.
personally.
And then
Yeah.
I guess another question we were thinking about, and I feel like this is so relevant to the pandemic, is what do you do when a practice session is just not going as planned? Your day, just one thing after the other, things are just not going your way, and it just feels like you're kind of going into this kind of downward spiral mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like nothing's working, gray cloud over the head. What do you do to get yourself out of that?
I think so. What I think about when I hear that is, I think it was actually a faculty member at Yale. I don't remember who, but he was saying that, you know, those times when you're like, got to get to bed early so that I can get up and be productive in the morning, and you get in the bed and you're like, I'm not tired, and you're like, now you're like stressed because you're like not tired, you're not gonna fall asleep, you're not gonna fall asleep because you're stressed, and then you're like stressed because you're not falling asleep. It's just like this horrible like little cycle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've done that so many times, and it's like, it's horrible because you're like, I have to be asleep right now. And his advice was, you know, look at it like this. You're laying down and you're resting your body. And if you're not falling asleep, you know, that's okay because you're still resting your body. And thinking of it like that, like I'm still accomplishing part of what I'm trying to accomplish right now. And then eventually I will fall asleep. But for now, I'm still resting. So I was like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to try that. You know, that way you're just like, whatever, I'm not falling asleep. Like I'll just allow myself to just be here. I think the same can go for like a practice session that's going all wrong. You know, sometimes it can be, I feel like, so discouraging when you've taken the time to plan out what you're going to do and what you want to accomplish, and scheduled your day, and then you just like get in there and like nothing's going right. Like for some reason I sound really, really weird today, because those days happen a lot. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what those days are, but yeah, it's just like, what's going on? And I feel like a lot of times my like initial like reaction is just like, let's just give up. I'm just gonna go to Starbucks or something. You know what I mean? But I feel like in those moments, it's like, I feel like in those moments, it's like, okay, maybe I'm not accomplishing what I initially set out to accomplish, but I'm accomplishing something, right? So like I took out my instrument today. That's a huge accomplishment because there's a lot of days that I haven't done that. Yay, me. And then like, oh, like I did my warm up. Like, that's great. Maybe there's some things that I actually improved on that I actually can't see because I'm so like, our expectations are always like here. Like you can't even see them. They're off the screen. And so we can't see the little progress that we're making down here because we're like, why am I not up here? So I think just like, I'm saying this to you and I'm gonna have to say it to myself in the practice room because I have these days a lot. Just like, you know what? Like I accomplished something today. It wasn't what I planned on accomplishing, but we gotta be flexible. I feel like as musicians, we gotta be flexible.
Yeah.
Same with like, if you're going to take an audition, you know, it's like the audition day will never be what you think it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Even if you've auditioned at that orchestra before. I've done that and it's like, wow, that was a totally different day than last time. You know, it's just, you have to like flow, it's like, but you're like setting these little, mini goals, mini boundaries for yourself. And like, yeah, we just gotta be flexible, but also like be nice to ourselves and just know that we're still getting things done. Yeah. And there's always tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow.
Yes, we can always try to, reach those really high goals that we set for ourselves tomorrow. If today wasn't the day, but we still accomplished something.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. I know, that's good.
Oh gosh, I need to remind myself that we have to be nicer to ourselves, you guys.
And especially during this like insane time in this
Right.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know about you guys, but I've had days where technology just goes down the toilet.
Absolutely.
Completely down the toilet. And I feel like those days when like we need technology to function as a society right now, that's when it's really like that gets me, because I mean, you and me both, we're not screen people. We thrive around people. And it's just when a screen is prohibiting me from doing what I need to do, that just like hits me. So I just want to say for myself and for everyone, when this charger XYZ is not charged, this no more memory, no more whatever, you just need to take a deep breath and realize that it's going to be fine.
Yes.
We'll come back to normal eventually, and that like
Just gotta write it out.
yeah, and that like you shouldn't be just like putting so much pressure on being able to get this XYZ done because you need this piece of technology.
Right. That is so frustrating. Yeah. With this barrier that we have in front of us. But I think one thing to remember too is like people are so understanding of these like obstacles that we have in front of us. Yeah. So like when I couldn't figure out what was happening with my iPad and I was trying to log on to our session just now, it's like, you know what? It's gonna be okay, kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. That is a struggle.
Do not let those things get to you, because they certainly get to me.
Oh gosh, I feel you. It's too many days of, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah. It's like, I'm here.
Everyone can always hear me, but not on Zoom, I guess. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Final question.
Final question. So if you could give advice to your younger self, what would you say?
Oh man, I saw, there's probably a TikTok, you guys. I am so obsessed with that. I know we're probably not supposed to laugh.
Is your advice? Is your
Get a
advice
TikTok. No, I'm kidding.
Or is it, don't get a TikTok? No, I'm just kidding.
That is not my advice. I saw this video and it was, I'm trying to even remember what it said, but basically, you know, all those things that you're like, I think it was actually a video to help out with, like advice to help out with anxiety. And, you know, when you're going through like a horrible moment, you're just like beating yourself up and it's just like, you cannot see past, you know, 2 minutes from now kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was like think of your younger self, and your younger self is going through what you're going through right now. Like, what would you say? And that had me in tears. But I was like, oh my gosh, because if I were to ever talk to my younger self, I would be so much nicer than if I were to talk to my present self. You know what I mean? And like so encouraging and like, you know, just live life to the fullest and be yourself. That's one thing that I, you know, I know that I was struggling with when I was little. So I'd say like, be yourself, be confident, just be positive and happy, and everything's going to work out. Don't need to worry about all the details. You know, if you feel like, oh, what if I do this thing? It's going to ruin my future and career. Probably not. It'll probably look a little different, but you'll probably still get to where you want to be, because that's, you know, what you're working for and what you're, you know, striving for. But, you know, you might look a little different along the way, and just be grateful for all the little moments that you get into. Yeah. I think that I'm somebody that I spend like 50% of the day thinking about what the future is going to look like, instead of like just enjoying the day kind of thing.
You're so wired that way, though.
It's
Yeah.
so bad. It's like, just enjoy the day.
Yeah.
I do that so much. And I think I would just tell my younger self to just, it's really hard to not do that, because, you know, you've got to plan for tomorrow, you know, in some ways, but in some ways you don't. But yeah, just be in the moment, and everything is going to work out the way it needs to work out. It might not look like it. I've had moments where it's like, man, I can't believe this thing that I really, really wanted didn't work out. Like, I literally can't believe it, even though that happens to everyone all the time, and it will happen again, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, why can't I believe it? Because that's life. But then, you know, like a year later, I look back and I see the thing that I really wanted I didn't get, and instead I got something else, or something else happened for me. And I'm like, I am so glad that is what the path that my life took, because I wouldn't have X, Y, and Z if that didn't happen like that. Yeah. Or I can now see that wasn't the best thing for me. It looks super glamorous, or it looks super cool, but like knowing myself, like that probably wouldn't have been good for me, kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that's another piece of advice I would tell myself. Yeah. I would tell myself that right now. But
I know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine like seeing your younger self? I think I would just like start crying. Like, oh my gosh.
No.
Also screaming. Like, that'd be really weird. Oh my god.
My younger self, I would see a little tomboy in soccer shorts and rainbow braces and just be a little rascal.
I just think it's rainbow braces.
Yeah, I went to go with the dentist and said, I want rainbow, every color. Like, it may have looked like a veggie pizza at all times in my teeth, but who cares? I had rainbow.
I feel that so.
Wow, I love that. That is so funny.
I love it.
Our younger selves, we were so cute, but we would be so encouraging and wonderful and nice to our younger selves.
now that you turn the lamp down low, I'm beginning to see the light. Used to ramble through the park, shadowboxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark, and that's a forlorn fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Used to ramble through the park, shadowboxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark, that's a forlorn fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light.
Thank you so much,
know,
Marlea.
this
This
has
has
been
been so great. And
Wonderful. What a
Yes.
like serious, important, fun conversation. Like I feel like mental health should be talked about more and in in casual ways too, you know?
Yeah.
thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to tonight's episode of Marea and Friends with Violist Marlea Simpson. We are so grateful to have just completed week 4 of the newly formed concert series, and it has just been such an absolute joy to collaborate with all of these talented artists for one whole month now. And at this time, I'm also just going to remind, if you feel so inclined, we have our link below for you to purchase a virtual ticket and make a donation. We really appreciate it, and so do all of the artists that are performing on the series.
And make sure to tune in next week. We will have violinist and vocalist Tereska Grinia with us. And I know her from my undergrad. We're at the University of Georgia. And we have connected over this time, and it's been a lot of fun. And it's going to be a great episode. Lots of music and great conversations. So we hope you'll tune in next week. Same place, same time.
Same place, same time.
Have a great night.
Yay!